let me see you, let me get to know you. Like, what's your name? What do you look like?
I'm watching what people are scrolling on their phone. That sounds low-key weird. The first time I felt like shit.
Probably going to block you. You're really not going to want to buy anything because they're like, you just lost all credibility.
Yeah, I mean, it'll perform, but is it performing for your people?
It always comes to generic content versus custom content. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Inceptions Podcast. I'm your host, Monico, and of course, we got here Erick.
What's going on, guys? Super excited for today's guest. We're in a similar industry, so it's always nice to talk to people who are kind of doing the same thing and doing, pretty good things, pretty big things in the industry. So that's always exciting.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for coming to the town and giving us a presentation on educating us on some social media stuff yesterday or the other day. That was pretty awesome. But yeah, so today we got Jade with Maven Muse Media.
Hi, guys.
How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I want to start off and I want to ask you a little bit. Since you're in the social media management and social media stuff, in your opinion, what's the first piece of content a business should make if they've never done any content before? Like they're like, I want to get started in doing this, but they're just like, I'm sure you run into it. They're like, what do I even make? What do I even post? What do you think should be the first piece of content someone makes?
Definitely who they are. There needs to be at least a couple of posts about who they are, what they do, who they serve. Just, introducing yourself to the world, wide web.
Yeah, I always have a thing with a lot of business owners. Since we do video marketing, a lot of them are always, they're camera shy. They don't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
But then people want to know who the person behind the business is.
Exactly.
But it's always a struggle sometimes. Do you deal with that?
Always. It's a lot of, I work with primarily women-owned businesses, so it's a lot of, I don't look good, or I'm too old to be on camera, or anything like that. And it's just, I feel like that's the beautiful part, is people want to know who they are buying things from, or who are they supporting in the community, and just getting in front of the camera that way. It's
also been like a shift I feel like in the most recent years, like I'm going from like faceless businesses to like people now, they care about who they're buying from. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, let me see you, let me get to know you. Like, what's your name? What do you look like?
Yeah, totally.
And I think that's a big deal. Like now, like expressing yourself that way helps you get more sales.
I agree. But what do you guys feel about like this new trend of going back to faceless marketing?
I don't know.
I see this as an up and coming thing that's happening on Instagram specifically.
Like faceless, do you mean like with where they have like AI account pretty much that are selling stuff, or what do you mean? Like
or just
AI
like
influencers,
or just like final product images on their pages.
So it's a lot of what I'm noticing on Instagram is it's a lot of video of, like walking on the beach, just their feet, and then they're doing voice overlay of something, or just a lot of like their product up and none of their face. I
mean, maybe it depends, probably the business, I think. Mm-hmm. The business they're in and what it is. But I have a feeling it's a lot like, I have a kind of like a theory that people buy from people they like and people buy from people they know.
Yeah.
So it's like if they don't have either or, I think it can be a challenge with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's marketing 101, right? From the 1900s, that know, like, and trust factor. And the cool thing we have with social and all the digital is that we can just be in front of everybody all the time and they know who they're buying from. I have had owners of different businesses where they're, like we were talking about before, they just don't want to be in front of the camera. And it's like, but you're the business, you're out there at the farmer's market selling, or you're the one in the shop, like coffee shop.
You're already out there.
You're already out there, right? And so when they come in, so like say it's a coffee shop, for example, and someone is like becoming a regular and they're talking to the owner like it's their barista, but they're like, oh, I'm actually the owner. It's kind of weird, right? Yeah. Don't you think that would be weird?
Yeah, it's a different feel for it, for sure.
Do you think like the trend you're talking about to go in more just like faceless, is it because people don't want to spend huge amounts on like marketing and they just want to pretty much shoot the content themselves and upload it themselves?
I think that's part of it. I definitely think that, you guys probably know too, when businesses start their sales go down, marketing is the first thing to go, right? We just live in that world. And so I do think that faceless part is a good way for them to, shoot something with their iPhone or whatever. But also, it's important to invest in visual content like you guys.
Do you agree with that? That when a business starts struggling, marketing is the first way to go?
No.
First thing to go?
It should not. It shouldn't be, but I understand why it is, because they get into specifically for me, my biggest challenge is I will deal with business owners who are like, oh, my niece or nephew is really good at TikTok, so I'm just going to let them do my social media marketing. And people don't understand that it's more than just shooting something with your phone and then putting it up there, that there's a whole strategy and mindset behind it that it takes off and will actually do something.
So we were talking about earlier, like the difference between just posting and actual marketing.
Yeah.
Because posting, like anybody can just do posting, but marketing takes a lot more thought that goes into it. Yeah,
and you have to study people. I mean, I guess like what I've been really good at from a young age is I've just been, I like to look at myself as like an observer of the human condition. So when I'm at an airport or something, I'm watching what people are scrolling on their phone. That sounds low-key weird.
Weird stalker, stalker status.
But like I'm looking to see like what are people doing? How are they interacting? And that's all marketing is it's a study of the human psyche. And to connect and get sales is a different thing, and that's more emotional.
Yeah. The other day I made a video talking about when a business starts struggling, the first thing, like you said, they're like marketing. They want to cut the marketing dollars. Most times the marketing isn't your problem. You probably got some sort of internal problem. It's just that we want to be blind to it, or it hurts. It's going to hurt more if we look at that like XYZ employees not cutting it. That's why our numbers aren't great, instead of being it's our marketing, and I think everybody should always do marketing to a certain extent. Of course, you adjust it, ebbs and flows of it, but it's just weird how people want to, cut that off.
Right, because they go in with this mindset of, I have so-and-so who can do it too, right? And I don't have to pay them because they're family, or, I don't need to pay them as much as you. I'm still getting out there on social. I'm still like a presence, but there's it's a whole different philosophy.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about, like...
Cheaper isn't always better.
No, cheaper is not always better.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about earlier too, is like not really working with everybody who wants to work with you. Sometimes you got to be selective, and even like how we were saying, you have to at least be at the 3-year mark in business, because then how we're talking about like you might not have those marketing dollars to be able to afford a good marketing person until then. And then if you try to go way too deep in on your marketing right away and you don't have the marketing budget, then you're going to be shit out of luck pretty much.
Yeah. And I mean, and if you go into investing with a marketing firm or a marketing specialist or a marketing consultant too soon, there's businesses who are not set up for it to take off. So I've had clients where they've brought me on and they let me go because they couldn't keep up with the sales that I was getting them, because they didn't have the infrastructure in their business to maintain like a viral.
They're like, Jade, slow down. You're going too fast.
Yeah, seriously.
Those are good problems to have.
Yeah, I know. And it's
like, what do you mean? I'm doing.
I know.
Great
it's like,
at
this is
my
what
job.
you brought me on for. But yeah, I've had a couple of people that have let me go because they didn't have that internal framework in their business to be able to keep up with the sales that were coming from the social exposure. Like I would make a reel or something and it would go viral, but then they didn't have enough product to keep up with the orders. And so they let me go because they were like, we have to fix something. And that's great because they were self-aware to know like, okay, it's not marketing, it's us.
How weird does it feel though? Like you hired me to do a job. I'm doing really good at it. And then you fire me.
The first time I felt like shit. Yeah. Can I swear on here?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first time I felt like shit, but it's working and you're letting me go. Because I've been used to being let go when the money is tight and they need to like restructure or whatever. I've never been up until that point, I had never been let go for doing my job well. And then it happened a couple more times, and I was like, okay, so maybe I need to redefine the businesses I'm working with. But I don't know if you guys know, but as a marketing person, I don't know the in and outs of this person's business that I'm outsourcing to work with. So I'm just trusting that they have the correct foundation and the infrastructure in place to do well.
So it's not like you can go in there and help them fix their systems. It's like, I'm in charge of the marketing. You guys got to keep your end of the bargain.
I'm in charge of selling the stuff or like getting awareness for the stuff. But that's what a business manager is for, is to like make sure your infrastructure is good and all of that.
So what are some key components that you said you do a great post video that it goes viral? Because everyone wants to go viral.
I know.
They've never done a post and they want to go viral with the first one. And it's like...
It's impossible.
It's like, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're not that great on camera. No one likes you. Like, it sucks.
No one knows you.
Exactly.
It's your first post.
Yeah. So what are some steps that you take, like, say, to try to create the best post possible?
Oh man, it's so hard because there's work that I've done and I've created and I'm like, this one is going to be it. This is going to go viral so fast, and it tanks.
It's the worst one.
And it's like, why did it do that? But it's so hard. Social media is such a hard thing to navigate because everything is constantly shifting. What was cool an hour ago is like everyone's over it now. It's just this trendy place, and I don't like the goal of going viral. I think that going viral is just a side thing that kind of happens. I like to maintain, are we keeping our messaging the same? Are we being consistent? Like, do people know what we're doing? Do they know what we actually sell and do?
So like actually like structuring like the brand of like the business, like.
Yeah.
How involved are you in with like kind of like getting, because they might, like a business might not have their brand set. So do you kind of like help them with that? Like, okay, what are our goals? Like, what is our message and stuff like that?
I don't, but I do work hand in hand sometimes with a person that's specifically what they're into, is building the brand. What are our brand colors? What are our fonts going to be and stuff like? I'm not into that. I'm into like the strategy and the visuals and the writing and all of that. But it's important to have a brand, your brand kind of nailed down before you even go hardcore into social or creating any video or anything like that, because you want to know, who am I actually talking to and how am I translating that on digital?
Yeah, know your audience, know who that is. With that said, like how big does a business have to be that you work with? Because you said you'll work with the brand manager and like you just said the fonts, colors, and all that. Mm-hmm. To be completely honest, I don't think much like small business owners like really have that, or probably don't even know what it really is. Mm-hmm. So like, does a business have to be a certain size for you to work with them?
Not really, but if they are, if they're a startup, obviously they don't have a lot of that. They haven't figured out their branding. They've probably figured out who they want to. They probably have a couple people in mind that they want to talk to, right? But they haven't figured out who that niche is specifically. And one of the things that drives me crazy, this is kind of on a tangent, but one of the things that drives me crazy with marketing is that branding people or different marketing firms will come in and they'll be like, okay, well, you need to talk about who the persona is. Where do they shop? How much money do they make? Blah, blah, blah. And people will do that, but they don't have an actual human in their life that fits that persona to ask them questions to.
They got their ideal customer in their head, but not in their life.
Yeah, and it's like, great, you have a really great imagination, but if you're writing a post or you made this video, you can't go to your imaginary friend and show them and say, does this make sense to you? If you have that same person as an actual human in your life, you can show them and ask, like, does this make sense? Am I on the right path?
So do you think that's kind of like going back to the authenticity side?
Yeah.
Where a lot of people that are just like, he's doing this, let me do this. But like, well, yeah, that's working for him. That doesn't not necessarily mean it's going to work for you.
Exactly. Like,
how hard is it to like stay up on the trends and stuff like that?
I don't focus a lot on the trends. I'm more like the authentic person because I want any business that I work with, if it's, you know, a restaurant, a coffee shop, a product, whatever, I want the same vibe that's on social. If you meet that person in real life or you go into that coffee shop or that restaurant, like the vibe is the same.
You don't want to be catfish. You show up, you're just like, what is this place?
Have you ever had that happen to you?
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah. It
Like,
sucks.
or they talk in the video, they're like, oh, this, and then you talk to them in person, you're like, dude, who are you?
Yeah, you
Like,
meet them for coffee and there's somebody totally, yeah. Mm-hmm. No.
Have you seen like the trends? Like I'm pretty sure you have, but it's like they're like the video hooks. They like start with like a video that's already gone viral, like a guy getting hit with the ball, and then they come flying into the shot and stuff like that.
And they're like stitching the stitches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about those?
I think I have a lot of opinions about them.
Let's hear 'em.
I think that some of them are funny. A lot of it, and again, it like depends on your industry. So if you were like a stand-up comedian or something, it makes sense to do stitches, right? To like do that. But part of me is also like, it's kind of a form of online bullying. Because most of the time there's a video of a person and then there's the person whose account you're following is making fun of that other person. And so it's like, guys, we're still doing online bullying, but now you're doing it to get likes and attention.
That's interesting. I didn't think about it that way, but it makes sense because there'll be some video like of some guy getting like knocked out and he's swinging through, like falling to the ground, and it cuts to something else.
Yeah,
and that's true. Is like that guy's probably just like, dude, I just got knocked the
what
fuck out.
What if that guy is brain dead?
Yeah. What if he's barely trying to survive the hospital right now?
Like,
yeah,
it's just a new form of online bullying.
Mm-hmm. Because sometimes when I see like how you say like, yeah, it's cool, it's fun, it's entertaining, but like, what's the point of it?
Erick,
like, you might get like more views and stuff, but are those going to be actually related to like what you're trying to sell people, or like what's the point of it?
Right, and that goes back to like the whole going viral thing. Everybody wants to go viral, but when you go viral, you get people who are not going to buy anything from you. They just decided to follow you because you put out this one video, and then when people go viral, there's no plan to maintain content after that. So they'll go viral and they'll be like, oh shit. No. And then they're silent for 3 days and they lose any kind of traction they could have had in the algorithm.
It's the same thing like you were talking about the other day too with ads. People are just like, I want to start running ads. I want to start doing the problem is they're going to click on the button. They're going to go see what other content you've done. You haven't posted in a month.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be like, well, it's like, you know, now what?
Yeah, so what you're talking about is when you came, I guess we should talk about how we even met.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on.
Yeah, so you came, so I taught a class out here where you guys are at, and you came, and then I don't know how it came up, but part of the discussion doing social media
I think
best practices.
Somebody asked about like
ads.
About ads. Like how much ads should I be running?
Yeah, and ads are a totally different mindset. Because that, to me, ads are sales, and marketing and sales are two different things that I don't think a lot of people understand. But for ads, we've been trained by Netflix to have this binge mentality, right? So Netflix will be like, hey, the new season of Bridgerton's coming out, and guess what, guys? It's only 4 episodes. And so you think, okay, I got an hour. I can sit here and
binge them.
I can watch 1 episode, and I'm going to go do this other thing. And you end up watching the whole thing.
It's 3 a.m. You're still
and you're still watching. And it's the same with ads. So when people decide to, put money behind their content, people are going to see the ad and they're going to go look at their whole profile because people are nosy and want to know what they're doing. But if they have an ad running today, but their last post was 2019, they're just going to bounce because they're going to be like, where have you been for
They're probably going to
4
block
years?
They're probably going to block you. Really not going to want to buy anything because they're like, you just lost all credibility.
Yeah, or they're going to report your ad or whatever because they're going to be like, where have you been for 4.5 years? Your last post was 2019.
So do you think more people should focus on ads and kind of doing like that with like some content to kind of support it, or just focusing all of it on organic content?
I think it depends, again, what the business is. But I would say organic marketing is not going anywhere. And I feel like organic marketing helps set you apart because it builds that authenticity. It lets people know who you are. It lets you...
Are you saying like organic content isn't going anywhere, like it's here to stay?
It's here to stay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this since Instagram was almost 2 years old. And everyone always comes to me. They're like, I need a hack. I need this. And there's two things. It's just you need to maintain consistency and you just got to show up as yourself and not do what everybody else is doing.
Is there a certain like, because everybody was like, I just need the perfect hashtag, the perfect trendy music. Mm-hmm. How much effect do those really have on something? Because if you have like a shitty picture and then you put a good hashtag and a good trendy song, like is it actually gonna perform or?
I mean, it'll perform, but is it performing for your people? Like, who are you actually bringing in? When you think of that, you know, when you go through your branding workshop and you have to come up with your ideal person, chances are the trendy stuff is not bringing that person in. Or they'll bring it in for 5 minutes and then they're going to unfollow you.
That makes sense. It's like, do you just want the view or do you want a customer?
Do you want the views or do you want the customer? Because
Like,
they're
what's the
two
whole
different
point?
things. Yeah, they're two different things.
Mm-hmm. So you like as like social media manager, do you just do like the postings and stuff like that, or do you also create some of the content?
Yeah, I do both.
You do both. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So we'll start with the strategy, and then some businesses will hire me to also create the content. But for the most part,
do you go walking at the beach with your feet recording it too and stuff?
I mean, sometimes.
I was like, I have to.
I
guess I'm gonna have to go to the beach.
I guess
today.
I have to go to the beach. I mean, but where's the beach in Colorado? Guess I'm going to the mountains.
You go to the lake, green screen it.
I'm gonna do an AI of me walking on the beach. Yeah.
So how hard is it I guess what experience do you have like when you actually create the content, or as opposed to when they send you like content? Do you prefer like
You're talking about generic or custom content? Is that what you mean? Or
yeah, kind of. Like, do you prefer when they kind of send you like if they have their own like video production team, they send you like all the content? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it depends. Again, it's like what's our contract and all of that. But it is very helpful to me when they already have like a visual library of assets to pull from. And, you know, there's some clients that I work with where we do big holiday campaigns. So we will pull, you know, we'll hire a videographer and we'll hire like 2 photographers. And then I'll just be there to have the shot list, make sure the shot list is getting done, and basically art directing it.
Do you prefer that way where you have a little bit of say in it instead of when they just say, here it is, and you're just like, well, this doesn't really, can't do much.
I do prefer having a little bit of say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're the person in charge of their marketing, you would hope that you have some say in what's going on.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of, I'm just curious because there's a lot of people that are always just like, it always comes to generic content versus custom like content, and everyone's just like, well, just post. You know, they just want to make generic content, put it, and it's like, what's cheaper and easier to make. That's why it doesn't work for other ones because you don't put any thought to it, and that's why a lot of other businesses do it, and it doesn't work for them because everyone else is doing it. Like, what sets you apart?
Yeah, and people who are scrolling can tell when you're just putting something up to pacify an algorithm instead of you having any intention behind that post to create some kind of connection and build a community and start building that know, like, and trust factor.
What's the most interesting thing that you've created? Say, like, when you're in charge of like the production of the content. Have you had any interesting experiences?
I mean, they're all fun. They're all so different. It's just, to me, what's fun is when I pitch an idea and the client goes for it, and then it translates into how it looked in my brain. Like, I had this really cool idea to do some beauty products with a 90s caboodle. You guys probably don't know what a caboodle is.
No.
But a caboodle was like something you would put your makeup in. They're kind of coming back now. But because our demographic was that age group that had those as teenagers. And so it was like, if you used this caboodle, you need this eye cream now. And that like hit and translated.
Makes sense. What's the most, I guess, what type of business do you prefer to work with? Product, service, or which one do you like to work with, and which one is the easiest to work with?
Oh, those are two different questions. I prefer to work with product or places. So I like, standalone products, or like the coffee shop, the place, getting people to come in. Like, I just spent the whole morning getting video footage of a short form video I'm going to create of this area, and highlighting some businesses that I really think is fun. And what was the second question?
What's harder or what's easier? I guess there's got to be pluses and minuses to both.
Yeah, there are. I mean, it's definitely easier when I can just have full creative range and run with whatever idea I have, and then ask for forgiveness later. But when I have to like create something, pitch it, and then it has to go through like a whole board of people and like legal and whatever, then it's like, well, I've lost my creative flow.
What about you, Erick? When we work with businesses, do you prefer having the social media manager in there giving you ideas of what to film and stuff like that? Or do you prefer them, sometimes they're like, here, have free range at it, and then later they come back to you like, what the fuck is this? What do you prefer?
I like both. But if we're talking about like best for the business, probably when the social media manager's there, because they actually got like a plan going on like inside of their head, or a plan for like the pages and stuff, and a plan for the business. Mm-hmm. And if I'm there shooting something that's not working, then it's not really going to work out as good. Like, I always like to have some freedom to do whatever I think is best, but whatever I think is best might not line up with what the business is trying to do right now. Mm-hmm. It's always better to be in communication, because like I'll film it, I'll edit it, but then I'll like hand it off for it to get posted and stuff, and I'm not paying attention to the analytics and all that stuff. Like, I don't know how much attention you pay to that analytics and stuff, but it's like I don't have time to pay attention to that stuff. So like the social media person can come and tell me, that saves me so much time. It's like, okay, let's not do this idea. It was cool to do one time, but then let's focus on this stuff that's actually working for the business.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how much like do you pay attention a lot to the analytics?
Yeah,
how important is that?
I get paid to do that. I get paid to like show numbers and stuff. So it is important.
Is there like one specific spot you go to like find your analytics, or is it just kind of like each platform has their own stuff to look at?
Each platform has their own, but I use a third-party software, which gives me a big bulk of numbers. But for small businesses and startups and stuff, the free stuff that's included in Instagram and Facebook is a great place to start, and just looking to make sure your top cities are where your followers or where people are stopping to see your content. Make sure those align with like actually where your business is. Because I've had some businesses who were like brick and mortar, and their top city was like 1,000 miles away.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like,
how does that work?
What is going on? Yeah, so then it's like, what am I doing wrong that is getting these other people? Is it something with the hashtags? Is it something with, did it get shared by somebody? Then I have to look into, well, that's pretty fucked up, and that looks bad. So how do I fix it?
How often do you look at stuff like that? Is it like every time you post something, daily, weekly?
Because there's a lot of people I think that just like they're just watching like, oh, I didn't do good today. It's like,
well, I think that most people are just judging how it's doing by how many people have liked it or commented on it. But there's a whole, there's so much more to it. But I check them not daily unless I'm helping on an ad campaign. But I definitely am checking them at least 2 or 3 times a week just to see where it's at.
Yeah, because if you check them daily, like it's probably not refreshed like enough for it to actually make sense.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it like Monday and Friday for sure.
Okay.
how true do you think it is for you that a lot of people say hashtags are dead? And then because you see a lot of people online, they'll be like, hashtags are dead, they don't work. But then a lot of people, because they won't use hashtags, but then you look at them, they have 1 million followers. So you're like, their content's going to do pretty good regardless if they use a hashtag or not. How real is that?
Yeah, I've had the same question for a couple months. So I'm actually testing on my account, which I look at as like a burner account. So I try all these theories that I have before I try them on people who are paying me.
Which is the best. Because
Yeah.
I do that. I do
that.
We do that for video ourselves. Like I always tell the business, like, I'm not going to make you do a video that I haven't tested myself.
Yeah.
Just how you say, how you... So
Yeah,
that's
my
cool.
account is like the burner account. Like we're going to just go with all these crazy thoughts and questions that I have. But I've been testing no hashtags on my account, and my reach is better. So I don't know. I have this theory that I think at some point Facebook and Instagram will have more search engine optimization in them. And that it'll matter more what you're writing in your caption or what you're saying in your video versus hashtags. So for right now, I'm kind of
Because I've watched a lot of...
Yeah, I don't know.
I've watched a lot of content now that they have AI is everyone wants to jump on that, but that Facebook and Instagram, they use a lot of that stuff to like whatever you're saying in your video, that they use that as like to pull keywords from.
Yes.
So then it's but then it goes down with like we said at the beginning, it comes down to the content. Like what if your content's not that good?
If your content sucks, no one is stopping their scroll.
Do you think it all just comes down to the content?
I think so. I mean,
because I've heard that content is king, but distribution is queen. Like if you got the best content out there, but you're not putting it out the right way, it's not going to do any good.
Right.
But if you got the best strategies to put it out there, but you got a shitty looking picture, it's not going to work.
right.
So what you're saying is that we got the power team right here. We got the custom creation, and she got the distribution, right?
Right.
Exactly.
And like back to your point of, the people who have 1 million followers and aren't using hashtags, a lot of that I like to look at, and I can tell who has bought followers at some point.
How can you tell?
Because you look at their engagement rate. So if they have a really high number of followers and they have like 2 likes on a post.
So if I have like 20,000 followers, but I'm getting like 5 likes on each post or 500 views on a video, then I probably bought followers.
You could have.
Most likely they are. I mean, I'm saying because I've done my own research too, and it's crazy when you see them, right? You'll be like my account, I have way less followers, and I have more engagement than this guy that has 10,000, 20,000 followers. So then you're just like, what's going on?
Yeah, because like when you sign up for, some of those follower apps to buy them, they're just all
Bots.
AIs, bots, yeah.
So like when a business first like kind of brings you on board to help them out, what do you do with them? Do you kind of like have a conversation with them first, kind of like what's the plan going forward, and then you just kind of start doing your own thing from there? Like, is there certain steps you do like on the pages first before you start posting, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so it's definitely, we have a conversation of, what do you want? Do you want growth? Do you want visibility? Why do you want this meeting with me? And figuring that out. And then I go into some of their social profiles and just, edit their bio. The first thing I look at is if it's a brick and mortar business, like, are your hours in your bio? And if they're not, that's the first thing I add. Is your address there? Is that correct? Is your website firing, or am I getting a 404 error when I click on it? So it's just a little bit of housekeeping first, and then it's, working together to get to that goal that they set the meeting for.
How important is that housekeeping stuff? Because we see a lot of pages that you just click on and start clicking buttons, and they don't work. And it's like, dude, you're killing half your potential sales right there because your website doesn't work or your address isn't on there.
Don't trust you then. So most of the time people are going in open-minded. Like they met this person at a networking thing, or they heard about so-and-so, and so they go check out the website. And if they're clicking a tab and it is a 404 error and the stuff they want isn't popping up, they're like, what is this?
It's a scam.
Yeah, it's a scam.
That's always my first thought. It's like, it's probably a fake page or something.
Yeah. And so you're starting now with no trust, whereas that first contact was neutral, but now you're like in the hole and you have to dig yourself out of there. So I do, let clients know, or even people that I'm tagging. So I have like one client, and they create products for other clients. And so if I'm tagging that client that they're creating something for, if their website's not working, I will reach out to my contact and be like, hey, can you reach out to so-and-so? Like their website's not firing. I don't want to put this post up with their stuff not working because that looks shitty for them.
Yeah, those are red flags. And I think too, they say first impressions are everything. Some people say they are everything. Some people say they're not. But it's like, for example, like when I met you, like I did some homework on all your stuff first. But it's like you were saying, that's what you were saying though. You meet somebody like at a networking event, whatever it is, and what's the first thing they do? They'll go on Instagram, they'll go type you up, see how legit you are. And that's how it's the same thing about your business. Like they'll give you a Google, they'll give you a search on Instagram or Facebook, wherever. And if they don't find anything about it, that's a red flag, I think. That's like a turn off right away. Like, I don't know if I want to,
You're probably one of the only people who's admitted to me that you do that too. Like I bring that up
all the time.
Everyone does it. Shit. And I bring it up in the talks and I'm like, what's the first thing you do after a networking event? You go sit in your office, you take your business cards and you go on LinkedIn and you're checking them out, or you're checking them out on social. And everyone's like, no, I don't do that.
Like,
shame on you that you don't do it.
Yeah, and then they're like judging me and I'm like, you do it too.
You have to. You just got to be prepared. And know, like, say, I'm coming to the event. Like, I want to know who Jade is. Like, she's coming here. I want to know who she is. And if, like, same client, they come up, they want a discovery call. They want us to start doing stuff. I'm going to know everything about your business before we even sit down. Because it's unprofessional for mine. We're sitting here talking about, you're about to invest your dollars into me. And I'm going to come in unprepared, not knowing what the fuck your business does. Like that's not fair to you, and it's not fair for the healthy relationship moving forward.
Totally. Yeah.
So, I mean, people are weird, but like, do your homework.
Do your homework. Yeah.
So how important is your personal brand then? Because like when people go search you up, like they want to know like the person behind the business, and that's kind of where most of the relationships are built, not necessarily like with the business page and stuff like that. So how important is that?
I think it's important because I'm of the mindset of like, the way I look at business is different than a way of a lot of other people do. I look at it as like who I'm meant to work with we're going to find each other, right? I'm not going to have to seek them out. I'm not going to cold pitch them in DMs or whatever. If we're meant to work together, they're going to have heard of me or something, and they're going to like look at some of my posts and then they're going to reach out. So that's just my mindset of it. And I feel like that the world and business is shifting more that way.
So do you kind of like recommend for people to start kind of working on their personal brand and stuff, or focus on like their business brand?
I would say both. Start being conscious that you do have a personal brand. And I don't love this idea that, we're each now like our own brand walking around out here. I don't love that, but that's just the way that the world is now. And yeah, if I could give any advice to anybody listening to this, is just show up online how you show up in real life, you know, and the people who are looking for you will find you.
Yeah, because I think the personal brand is huge. My opinion. Like, I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. It's okay, but because like I guess we said, people buy from people they like and people they know, and it's like usually if you're. So when I met you, you know, just how you talk, how you carry yourself, how you dress, we're already already doing our brand, like whether we want to or not. You just got a shitty brand, you know, whatever you're doing. But then it's like, and I'm interested to know your response on this, because a lot of people, they start a new business and then they get it and they have like 0 followers. And then they're expecting just to go get all kinds of likes and stuff to the page. It's like, well, there's nobody following it. How are they going to see your posts? So I think when they're starting off, it's almost better like for them at least to share it on their own, you know, to at least get some traction. Once you get pretty big, and then you kind of like start splitting it off more that way if you want. But they just like, I got a business page and they just want to put everything on there and nothing on their personal. It's like, well, I don't think that doesn't work.
It's almost like finding that balance.
The balance of the personal to the business?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, like the balance of like, yes, like you want to post everything on your business to make that page grow and stuff, but then if you completely like stop on yours, then you're going to limit the amount of people you could reach, potentially like the business relationships you could build with other people. Like how we were talking about before, you go to a networking event and you go to research someone, and then you show up in person, you know what you're talking about and stuff, but then you go to do research on you, you're nowhere to be found, and then kind of might prevent someone from working with you because it's just like, oh, they say they got a successful business, but you go on their page and they haven't posted in 2 years.
Yeah, it's like
what's going on here?
Are you shady? Like, this is shady. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do believe that like you can work personal into business. Like on a business page, you could start putting some personal stuff on. I mean, I'm of this mentality of the rules are there are no rules, and you can just pretty much do whatever works. If you start talking, you know, not like airing all of your personal drama and stuff on your business page. Nobody wants that. But if you know, like you are,
might help you go viral.
I mean, you could. But
is it gonna make you any sales?
Is it gonna get you any sales?
No, I was gonna do the opposite.
But like if you're, you know, personally, if you're doing something and it somehow relates to your business or whatever, talk about it on your business page. Because again, people want to know the human behind the business.
How tough do you think it is for somebody, say, if they just barely opened, they got 0 followers? Like, how do you make that grow?
Yeah. So that you bring it up. I wanted to talk about that. How you were saying, they start and they want to be at like so many followers so fast. The only people born with a following are babies of celebrities.
It's crazy, huh?
That's it. That's only who's born with a following. Everyone else has to work at it. So, you know, we all started at 0. You know, the only people born with a following is the child of a celebrity. So you just got to start somewhere, and you just got to keep working at it. Like everything with business, it's this, you know, journey of personal development and growth and, you know, seeing all the things about yourself that, you know, weird you out and you don't love and stuff like that.
Sorry.
Is there certain things you should be doing when you're first starting out versus like once you got more of like a following, I guess?
Yeah, I would definitely, when you're first starting out, you have to be very diligent about consistently showing up, you know, consistently posting to your feed and consistently being social, because what businesses are missing right now is like, it's called social media, and a lot of people are not social. They'll just throw a post up and they'll be like, oh, this is going to hit so many likes, and they just go about their day. And I get that, because business owners, you know, are actually running a business. They're not the marketing person. But if you are a one-person show, you have to put some time into your schedule to at least like engage and comment on other people's things, because that's the first hurdle that a lot of businesses are not doing.
It's not just throwing up a post. It's actually going in there and engaging with the people
Yeah.
who like it, who comment.
Yeah. And it's talking to like this ideal person you've created, you know, find them on social and comment on their posts. Like maybe not, you know, not something generic like, oh, cute shoes, but something worthwhile.
Something that you
Thanks
put
for
some
the
thought
comment.
into it. Yeah.
Because again, people are nosy, so they're gonna see your name and they're gonna be like, "Who is that?" And they click on your profile, find you, and their following will be like, "Who's commenting on my friend's feed?" And they go look at you, and so that's like the foundations of social media that I feel like we've forgotten about.
The social aspect. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's huge because, I mean, if you just think about it, it sounds like no duh. Like you can't just throw up a post and just expect it to blow up. You got to be in there like replying to people. It's like knowing people are so people know that there's an actual person behind the page, not just some random dude just throwing up a post or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's just crazy to me. Sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, I'll just throw up 5 posts a day. That might just get you more views and stuff, but
Right.
I don't know how it affects the engagement.
It's not building a community who's ready to buy from you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the difference. Building the community is the hard part.
Yeah.
Like you can post all you want, but it's the community aspect.
Yeah, it's the people who are primed and ready to hand cash over to you. Because that's like, I mean, that's why we're all in business. And that is the hardest step, is to get people to, you know, open their wallet and write you a check or hand you some money.
Mm-hmm. So talk to me about like your presentations, trainings, and stuff that you go around doing. How'd you get kind of involved in from like doing like the behind the scenes work, because you're more behind the scenes, like just the managing, to like actually, you know, being out in public and doing the presentations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How'd you get that going?
How did I get that going? I don't even know. That was a while ago. I feel like somebody was the head of a networking group at some point in my journey, and they were like, "Hey, will you come teach our community about Instagram?" I'm like, okay. I can do that. And my business kind of falls into two different things. Is people are either all in handing everything over to me and letting me be like their ghostwriter online, all of that. And the other part that's been happening lately is that, especially since moving to Colorado, is that the business owner wants to be able to do it themselves. So they want to know how to do it. And so I've really embraced that, like, okay, I've got to figure out more ways to train these people to do this, because they don't have the money to do it, but they don't have the money to hire me, but they understand that it's important. And I just want people to be able to like realize their dreams and have the business that they want.
So do you like consult for them and kind of give them like the stuff on how to?
Yeah. So if they bring me on to like just show them how to do it, I have this thing, it's called the VIP day, and we just spend, you know, like a whole afternoon together, and we talk about, again, like that goal of what do you want, and then we come up with like a minimal strategy that they can do themselves, and I show them how to do it.
What's one of the biggest, I guess, struggles you've seen businesses have that might keep them from like growing or thriving as a business? Like, what do they struggle with? Is it the social media aspect of it? Is it not having the systems in place, or what?
When you come down to it, it's that person's mindset. Do they feel worthy of having this business? We talked about it before we even started recording, that, you know, when I start consulting for different startups and stuff, it's, you know, you're going into this thinking you're starting a business, but you actually are facing all of your inner demons and darkness and all of these things, because that comes up in your business. Like, if you are not making money, it's like, do you feel worthy of receiving the money? I know it sounds really woo-woo, whatever. But that is, I think, where people start to fall off. And they think like, okay, I just need to put more marketing in and more marketing, but they're not working on themselves too.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. It's like, if you're the same person you were when you first started your business as you are in year 3 or year 5, it's not a good sign. You need to be evolving as a business owner. Because like you said, you're going to go through those dark times, you're going to go through those struggles, you're going to go through that development of yourself, and you're going to get to know who you truly are and how you actually deal with controversy and all those setbacks that inevitably are going to happen. So you got to always be evolving.
Yeah. And again, like if you are evolving and your content is not evolving with you, people can tell that disconnect. And then they start, like we said before, they start looking at it like, what's going on? This is like a yellow flag. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's hard for, I think, for a lot of business owners to take that step and see it, but you can't give more than you have. So if you got like people in your business, like you can't train them. You're like, oh, why isn't this guy cutting it? Most likely because you ain't setting the standard, and then it kind of sucks because you have to look at it and then like it's all on me. But it's really tough, and I think that's what, for like a lot of businesses, I think that's one thing that kind of crushes them. The ego gets in the way. Yeah,
and it's like the ego has to die. You know, like it has to, because the ego holds you back from so much. And yeah, we just got really philosophical and woo-woo in this room.
Well, let's say like I'm like in that process of growing my business, and I'm on the fence of thinking like, oh, should I bring on another person to help me, you know, with my marketing and stuff? What would your advice be to me?
My advice would be like, if you're thinking about it, then definitely dig into that. Start researching, you know, who is around, what does that even look like to me? What could that look like? How much would that even cost me? You know, because it's not coming to you for no reason. You know, like you're at a growth point of, you know, instinctually, like I need to move forward. I know I need to move forward, but I can't do it all. So I would definitely, if that's coming to you, like investigate. Doesn't hurt to have meetings. Like I'm sure I do free discovery calls. I don't know if you guys do free discovery calls, but like, you know, just to have a conversation, because most people they don't even know what it means to hire out their marketing or create some kind of content.
Or what actually goes into it.
Yeah, and what actually goes into it, and, you know, like the process of it all. It's not like, hey guys, I want to hire you to make this dope video. Here's a check. Send it to me when it's done. Like they need to be a part of it, right? For it to be successful.
Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts for it.
Yeah, for all of it.
For everything. So it's, if they're not bought in, it's like there's only so much you can do. And honestly, we've gotten to points where just like you need to be bought in, so that way it's gonna be better for us and better for you. Because then the outcome's not gonna be that great if they're not bought in.
Yeah, it comes back to everything. Everything in life is all about like intention. What is the intention of reaching out to you guys? You know, what is the hopes of the video? What do they want it to do? What's the intention of putting up a social post? You know, are you doing it to pacify the algorithm, feed the algorithm? Or are you doing it because your ego needs a boost and getting like 100 likes because you're having a sad day? Like, what's the intention of even putting something on social?
If you could go back in time to when you first kind of started your business, what would your advice be to yourself?
Stay in your lane. Like don't look at what, like keep my blinders on and don't follow like the trends, and just like stay true to what my gut said and just stay in my lane for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What about you guys? If you could go back 3 years ago, like what would you say to yourself? Or however old your business is, how?
I think it's just the biggest thing is like we overthink stuff. We think we're too good, and you're not that good. And I think when you think you're too good, that's when you lose. Because there's always a bigger mountain to climb, and so I think it's always you think you're too good. I think for me, that's what it comes down to. Is like, you're not that good. Learn some more stuff. But then you're not the worst either. There's always opportunity to grow. So it's always that constant battle.
Yeah. What about you?
I think for me, it's get really good at one thing and just stick with that.
Yeah.
Like, because when you first start out, you want to offer everything you can because you kind of know how to do everything. But in reality, you kind of know how to do everything like 20% instead of just focusing on one thing and going 100% on that. I think that's been like the biggest change for us too, is just focusing on one thing and just diving deep into that and just going balls to the wall.
Yeah.
On that one thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Jade, awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you for
thanks for inviting me. This was rad.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, thanks for swinging by. I mean, we made it happen. And what's the easiest way for somebody to contact you if they want to know a little bit more about you or your services?
Yeah, the easiest way to get a hold of me is just my website, mavenandmusemedia.com, but I'm sure you're going to have them in the show notes or whatever.
Yes, we'll drop everything down below.
Yeah.
Just making sure that was the correct spot. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Very cool. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.